Recently, it seems like cows can't catch a break.
Our meaty diet is literally eating up the planet.
It's the worst thing we eat when it comes to global warming.
You should check out
Beef.
Eternal on PS5. It's the
People
best
say we need
game on
to
the
eat less
console.
Wait, is
meat
that
to
a
save
box
the
video? Show me
planet,
that
and
video.
Cows are polluting the air with their methane-rich burps. They're eating all our food, drinking all our water, and taking all our land that we could be using to grow human food on. When you hear the specifics, it sounds like cows must be bad.
To create 1 kilogram of steak, a cow needs to eat up to 25 kilos of grain. We could nourish an additional 3.5 billion people if we just ate the stuff we feed to animals.
About 3/4 of all the agri.
Oh, okay, we're not gonna watch it then. We're not gonna watch it. I'll see. I'll watch this 4-minute video, vlog video about it then.
The chart I'm building shows the greenhouse gas emissions from producing 1 kilogram of some common foods. In other words, it shows how much they contribute to global climate change.
Okay.
Most fruits and vegetables are down here with relatively low emissions.
What even is a
cassava? Are a little further up. Pig
cassava?
products are here. Coffee and chocolate are a little higher. But all of these pale in comparison to this food. It's the worst thing we eat when it comes to global warming. This is beef.
Per
When you
kilogram.
only account for the emissions that go into the processing, transportation, packaging, and selling of a food product, the difference between these foods isn't so great.
Okay.
When you add the emissions from growing and processing food for livestock, you can see that animal products have higher emissions than vegetables. But the real gap comes from these two factors: the emissions associated with the farming process and the impact of land use change. Coffee has such a big footprint because of the fertilizers farmers use to grow it, which emit a lot of the greenhouse gas nitrous oxide. The farming process also accounts for most of the disparity between cow and sheep products and everything else.
Guys, nobody give me a pure answer today. Guys, I'm not a nutritionist or whatever, dude. I'm not a scientist, okay? And I don't want to spread misinformation, okay? When you eat beef, what you get out of the beef, the type of protein, what it is, the formula, the whatever, can you get a absolute 100% one-to-one exact that nutritionally in something else that isn't a cattle or a chicken? I didn't ask if there was something similar, because a lot of times people say similar when people say, oh, it's only this much or it's only that difference, and then some science guy will come out and say, whoa, it's completely different. So I'm not gonna take something that somebody says it's nearly the same. I don't know. You would have to explain it to me.
Cows and sheep have to digest food that most animals can't do as well, like grass and tough plant material. Their stomachs are microbe-rich to help them do that through a process called enteric fermentation. The byproduct of this digestion is methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Some of those emissions come out this way, but 95% come out the front. If you've never heard one of these animals burp, there's an endless supply of YouTube videos for your viewing pleasure.
Damn, dude.
Really?
Oh, the smell.
Jokes aside though, methane is a huge contributor to climate change. It's the second most emitted greenhouse gas after carbon dioxide. But it traps more heat than carbon dioxide. Its global warming potential over 100 years is 21 times higher. Among human-related activities,
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Potential over 100 years is 21.
The potential over 100 years.
1 times higher. Among human-related activities, enteric fermentation is the biggest contributor to methane emissions globally, more so even than the methane emissions from burning fossil fuels. And it's a big reason why the farming process-related emissions for beef and sheep are so high. The second reason is land use change. Starting in the 1700s, the amount of land developed for humanity's purposes started to skyrocket. Only a tiny amount of this is due to our built environment, like cities, towns, and other infrastructure.
Right.
A vast majority is for agriculture. And when you divide that up, you see that land for grazing animals far surpasses land for growing crops. Converting all that land to farms to make way for grazing or growing crops.
You know, we'll say that the trees like help because they like they do good for the environment or whatever, right? And plant the trees, whatever the fudge. Does the crop do the same type of thing?
Releases the carbon that was once stored in trees, other plants, and the soil. By contrast, nuts and citrus fruit and olive oil have negative land use emissions because planting nut and citrus fruit and olive trees is reforesting cropland. Okay. But chocolate has a lot of land use emissions because cacao farming results in tropical deforestation in Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. And grazing animals take up a lot of space compared to crops. 80% of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest, for example, is to make way for cattle ranching.
Much love, dude. Less than
this is
3.
how many tons of greenhouse gases per capita we emit through all of our activities. Changing our diet to exclude high-emission foods has the potential to reduce it by 28%, by both reducing emissions and reforesting land.
I'm done. Guys, I don't know who to believe anymore. Why are a lot of credible sources have their own analysis about climate change and what affects it, and what collapses it, what helps it, what to change, what not, what the priorities? It's all different. Dude, this is like the 8th video. What the fuck?
And that's more than any other life change we could make. A lot of food emissions are unavoidable. We have to eat. But we do have a choice of what not to eat.
Well, people say that curds is also wrong.
So,